Welcome back to the Wednesday Hot Stove. JP Morosi back with us, top of the hour, leading the league in information. It is a week-long exercise, JP, to break down divisions. We've landed on the AL East. And let's start your preview, your thumbnail sketching with the champions from last season, the New York Yankees.
I love this, by the way, this segment. It's like a study guide before spring training. It helps us get our minds organized here on the season ahead. And let's begin with those New York Yankees. We talked earlier in the week about DJ LeMahieu, how important he is. Of course, he's not going to be on this board because he's already there, but his return is going to be a major element in the Yankees' success this season. And, of course, returning Aaron Judge. That's the big one. And then adding Carlos Rodon. So for all the concern that Yankee fans had during the playoffs with how lopsided, candidly, the American League Championship Series was, this is a good team, maybe even a great team. They were great for about 4 months of last season, of course. A bit of a stumble down the stretch. They still were able to get through and beat Cleveland in a 5-game series in the division series. For me, adding Rodon is immense. Of course, getting Aaron Judge back is the most important of all. And then when you consider the overall growth of their younger prospects, Peraza, Cabrera come to mind, Volpe potentially at some point in time, I really believe the Yankees did not have to have, aside from Judge and Rodon, an offseason in which they added a number of more players. They basically have to just stay within, get their prospects ready to go. And I really believe that with LeMahieu bouncing back, he will make everybody on that infield better because you're not going to ask quite as much of the likes of Donaldson or even Torres in 2023.
And Anthony Rizzo back in the fold. Yeah, I think we kind of lost sight of the narrative as to how good the Yankees were based on the bad finish and how much better they'll be for the reasons you point out this year. They're the brand in the division. Who possesses the greatest chance to challenge the Yankees in the AL East?
That's a great question, Matt. You know, I really do like the Toronto Blue Jays and what they've got right now. They've steadily added more and more left-handed power to their lineup. Brandon Belt, I love that late signing, a reasonable number they signed him for. Dalton Varsho, that was a very bold trade right there around New Year's Day that I think we'll be revisiting a lot because they had to give up Moreno and Gurriel to get him. They did, of course, trade Teoscar Hernandez as well. They just added Chad Green, as we talked about earlier on. Chris Bassett, a stalwart in that rotation. They just don't know at this point what they can get from Hyun-Jin Ryu, for example, going forward. So you bring in someone who you know what you are going to get from Chris Bassett. You, of course, add Kevin Kiermaier as well. So they had to really, I think, replace the influence that Stripling gave them. He was such a staff saver because he could go in either role. But I think having Bassett there really allows this team to make a legitimate run, I think, at the Yankees at the top of the division. Of course, as we know, the Jays will probably go as far as Vlad and Bo will take them. And that's probably the next conversation in Dunedin, Florida this spring. With Vlad and Bo, can the Jays move closer to signing either of them long term? I think that's probably the huge question there. I would think that this is the spring training, Matt and Ron, where if they're ever going to find a way to sign them long term, it almost has to be now, because if you start getting towards the trade deadline of this year and then the offseason of the coming season, it's almost so close to free agency that it's hard to imagine them signing long term at that point. So it's a really pivotal several weeks ahead now for the Toronto Blue Jays organization.
Yeah, you make a great point, JP. Their window might be smaller than you think. The Orioles are an interesting team. What a great year they had last year. They didn't do a lot this winter. Kyle Gibson they signed for their rotation. Are they for real this year, or is there going to still be some growing pains?
I think, Ron, that they are a legitimate contender in Major League Baseball for a postseason berth this season, and it's because of some names that aren't even on this screen. Gunnar Henderson, the #1 prospect in the game, according to MLB Pipeline right now. They've got Grayson Rodriguez, DL Hall as well. Here's the names. This is, to me, you think about the breadth of what they've got, might be the single best farm system in the entire sport. So when you look at that, add that now to a bit of spending, as you mentioned with Gibson, I believe that as the Orioles move towards the summertime and the trade deadline, you know, last year they had to move out Mancini and Lopez because of how they felt they had to structure their team for the future. If they're in a similar position in 2023 to where they were in 2022, I believe they buy instead of sell at the deadline. That last year was setting the platform and giving their young talent a chance to get prime and ready to contribute at the major league level. I think now if they're in that middle ground, you got to go for it because they see now the division, the Red Sox maybe taking a step back. The Orioles' opportunity to make the playoffs, I believe, is right now.
You know, it's an 83-win team last year in Baltimore, and we all thought that the trajectory was going the right way.
Keep doing your thing, man. You're on the right trajectory, man.
But, yeah, there are those that don't think the trajectory leads to more wins. In fact, their posted win total, according to multiple sources that I've just checked online, 75.5. So I think the industry thinks maybe there'll be a little regression. I'm not sure why the Tampa Bay Rays win total is as low as it is at a posted number of 87.5. Tampa Bay always seems to exceed expectations. How do you forecast their 2023?
Well, to me, I think that the one name on the left-hand side of the screen, and again, what a classic Rays offseason this is. It's sign your internal guys, whether it's Springs or Fairbanks or Diaz in the last couple days, and then you lose some guys because that's the reality of doing business when you're the Tampa Bay Rays, and then you make on the left-hand side for them the largest free agent signing in franchise history. Zach Eflin, who they believe will potentially be an element in their starting rotation. There was some encouraging news on the ballpark here in recent days. I think that's certainly one thing to keep an eye on. But for the Rays, as always, guys, it's what you're doing internally. And for me, the big question, the huge question for Tampa Bay this season, the health of Wander Franco. Is he able to be more durable than he was last year? Did he figure out whatever was ailing him in 2022? If he's on the field and an all-star level player, which of course he can be, that's why they handed out that massive contract extension to him. If he's healthy, this could be a playoff team yet again, especially when you consider what's happening in the Northeast with the Boston Red Sox. And I'll take you there right now. They're a team that I think has been criticized a lot, and fairly, because you lose Xander Bogaerts. That is, to me, a huge loss for them. They lose Nate Eovaldi. We just saw the trade with Matt Barnes here in recent days. This is a team that is now leveraged heavily to finding a way to get another level of all-star appearance and performance out of Justin Turner, the veteran. They make the trade for Mondesi, who's been hurt a lot in his career. They're hoping that Jansen can figure it out. They've got Corey Kluber in the rotation now. This is a team that's going to rely also heavily on Masataka Yoshida to come in year one and be a very reliable bat atop the lineup. The left-right balance is good. I think that they're hoping that Casas can really deliver and have a solid season all throughout. And certainly they're now, with the absence of Bogaerts and the extension for Devers, very, very leveraged to Devers and his future. Rafael Devers right now is the face of the Boston Red Sox.
He's the face of the Red Sox, but the most important player, or maybe the player that represents the biggest X factor for the Red Sox, is Yoshida. I mean, the Red Sox are banking on his productivity and his replacing what they're missing with a lot of things that are gone there. I think that front office is leveraged heavily in that decision. That guy could really set the legacy for this front office group in Boston. Great stuff, JP.